Alright, good evening everybody. System Shock here with the 45th episode of Cultist Simulator, playing as Ivan Vucetich, the detective, and we're playing the Librarian run, which I'm sure most of you know this by now, but we are attempting to get a copy of every... Specifically what we're doing is we're hoping by the end of this run to have a copy of every text in the game, and in this case the text will be defined as the work. So this would be impossible if you had, multiple translations of a work, but by that standard, you are actually able to read a couple of texts. So, the example here would be that Rose of Hypatia, to have either the Greek or English text of Rose of Hypatia, but not to have the Greek and English text of those two things. Now, first of all, I do apologize for Friday's episode. I think it's intact, but for whatever reason, I made a YouTube image for it, and I made, I recorded the episode, but for one reason or another, it didn't upload or it didn't complete uploading. Either way, it was not ready for the usual 6:30 time on Friday. It did eventually wind up probably around like 11:30 or so, because I gave it some time to do its full, like the full HD render. But for those of you who are looking forward to it, I know the viewership's kind of gone down over time, which usually happens for the episodes, but I do know from the visuals there's a couple of people who do seem to check them out kind of when they come online. So my apologies for that. I definitely did not want to create a little bit of hardship there, but these things happen. I'm also feeling better, so hopefully this week there'll be a little bit more, just a little bit more energy in terms of what's going on. So, we've got a few things going on. So, we've got a Season of Visions coming up. Now, the protection for that is going to be Old and Happy Far Off Things. So we know we're going to get hit by the Fascination in 14.7 seconds, but in a little under 30 seconds we're also going to generate a Restlessness. That Restlessness will decay into Dread, and then we'll sort of heal from that. The catch is that we've got a Blaze of Radiance, and in the case of Lantern Influence, if you don't use it otherwise, and in this case we don't actually have a way of destroying influence other than recruiting, essentially this is eventually going to turn into Fascination. This is one of the risks when the only ritual you have is the Rite of the Crow's Quenching. So I think the best way to handle this is just stay the course. We're not going to paint away the restlessness unless we wind up with a Season of Despair afterwards. Then I'm going to need to work out the timing. Following that, I think the hope would be that the Dread gets rid of the Fascination, and so by the time the Blaze of Radiance becomes a problem, the Season of Visions will have already passed, and then we'll have a fleeting reminiscence that we can destroy the Fascination with. I'm sure if I'd been reading the situation a little bit better... Oh, we're already doing the Composure, so yeah, fair enough. But yeah, the Fleeting Reminiscence here probably would have been better for getting rid of the Fascination. I probably was anticipating that I might have a Season of Despair. It's neither here nor there. We'll work with what we've been given. Now, I don't have my notes in front of me. I'm a little annoyed with myself. Oh, actually... This is what I was looking for. I had one written down with secret histories I was looking for. Yes. So I have a specific list of secret histories that I'm looking for. Ultimately, I'm looking for 3 Port Noon anecdotes. I'm sorry for not pausing the game here, but I wanted to just sort of I wanted to get my ducks in a row before hitting the unpause button. So we need 3 Port Noon anecdotes, so that translates to 6 Vagabond maps, which would translate into 12 unresolved ambiguities, and technically 24 Forbidden Epics, but we don't necessarily have to get the Forbidden Epics anymore. So we've got 5, and I seem to recall that, I was working this out, so we've got another 3 that we can add here, so technically we've got 8, then we've got whatever we can get from upgrading the Furtive Truths and that, but we are going to keep going to the Spider's Door when we can, just because it's a good way to kind of get extra unresolved ambiguities. In the end, what I want to do is minimize the number of times I have to upgrade the smaller stuff, but I am going to upgrade the smaller stuff while I work. Essentially, once this number hits 12, then I'm going to move up to those Vagabond's maps and eventually Port Noon anecdotes. But I have been delaying the inevitable so far, so let's see how this turns out. Like I said a few episodes again, finding out that I'm sort of at a point where I can do more sort of summons and rituals definitely re-energized the playthrough for me. It's not necessarily that I didn't enjoy working on the series, but I was definitely afraid that I would have to be doing Forbidden Epics all the way up to Port Noon anecdotes. And even then, if I would be going to Port Noon anecdotes, that would only be to actually get the items. Getting the Frangiclave wouldn't mean anything. So the fact that I'm able to go all the way to the Peacock's Door now is meaningful for me. And it just sort of simplifies things, and it just means that there's a little bit more available to me in the playthrough here. So, like I said, it's a fun challenge in its own way. Not something I would recommend to a new player, but somebody who's played the game for a little bit and is looking to try and do new things. This is actually one of the longer times I've spent playing the detective. And it's just a neat little way to sort of change things up and see how the game works. I definitely learned a lot more in terms of how the different items work in the game. So there's kind of the advantage there. And sure, you can read the files and modding notes and things like that, but it's fun to learn through play. That's kind of how I originally learned the game. So, the sickness. This illness has damaged my health. I will need rest before I'm fully recovered. Cure your affliction with funds or vitality. We do have some vitality available to us, so we may take advantage of that. But again, it depends on how this all works out. So we don't need to worry about the dread, so I think in this case, the dream slot with the affliction is the right call. Alright, a half-glimpse wistfulness has touched me. The air is curdled now. I'm home again in this lumpen flesh. Better, perhaps? So I didn't even think that the fleeting reminiscence would actually trigger for the fascination here. So maybe I'll just take this restlessness and paint it away. Either way, we'll get rid of the sickness with the vitality. Right, I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the one we know. What's the deal here with the Forgotten Chronic? Oh, I see. Okay, I think what I'm going to do here, just because these only require the library... Well, we've got a glimmering. Say, I normally wouldn't have done this, but because I've got a glimmering available, I will move up the Forbidden Epics. History is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. So just thinking this through, I think I am going to paint away the restlessness, just because the fleeting reminiscence cancels out the fascination here. I'm going to have an intensity of radiance, but I will have a fleeting reminiscence left over there, so that way just being able to remove the dread is ideal for me. My minion is returned, attended by a prisoner rendered docile with delight. Good work there, Saliba. And we will betray the experienced swindler. This one must serve another purpose now. Into the cupboard they go. Okay, the constant clatter of closing doors, the damp stains on the station walls, the smell of boot polish and unwashed constables. All this narrows to a single crystalline truth. I've made progress and earned myself some overtime pay. So that's good. Unfortunately, we also have the dread, which I was trying to balance out. So we don't have any staleness. I'm going to rely on my reputation here. Mostly to avoid fascination. I block this one away safely. When their screaming and their raving subsides, I will subdue them properly. Alright, so more notoriety. The notoriety is just going to be something I have to live with, but as long as we manage the evidence, we'll be fine. This one will buy. This will buy their loyalty for now. So we keep sending the Callagine out. This does carry with it the risk of old and happy far off things, but I think it's. I think this is acceptable. I'd rather do that than pay for paints. I'd rather have the risk of old and happy far off things rather than deal with the. Rather than deal with the. With resummoning whenever I need it. Slowly my clenched fists relax. I'll slide back into sleep, but something will remain, like spider webs in the corner of a room. So I'll probably get rid of the consciousness of radiance, or the fascination from the consciousness of radiance with the dread. We'll see how that all turns out. But we are due for a trip to the spider's door, so... The spider's door is always thirsty, always. The blood I've given leaks and spills through the skin of the world, and the door drinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. Alright, so I don't believe I have any erudition for this one now, so library it is. There's nothing to be ashamed of here. My recent work has accrued modest fame. My paintings have reviewed well. And that earned me quite a bit of staleness, so if I want to clear that out, I'm going to have to do a couple passion paintings. We definitely will take advantage of it, but I want to make sure that I'm hitting the right balance, so I'll throw some passion at it when I can, but I don't need to do that right away. Now, again, the worry that I have right now in terms of gaining the knowledge that I need, it basically comes down to the fact that I have a lot... Oopsies, ambitions coming up. We should be able to clear away the bad guy. Yeah, how do I put it? Maybe it's not concern, but the thing about the playthrough is going to be that I have a lot of building to do here. And, you know, again, I think it's time well spent as far as the playthrough is concerned, but it's not always the most exciting stuff. In the end here, we're not going to be visiting the Mansis for the usual reasons, and we're always going to be going to the Mallory just because of the types of secret histories that you can get out of it. So that's a Forgotten Chronicle as opposed to an Incandescence. I'll probably wind up bringing in King Crucible out of this. Last night in the Mantis, I visited the Mallory, from whose engines and avenues one does not emerge unchanged. I watched the process of sunset, and I entered the Amber Joy and the White Joy and the Blue Joy, and I was subjected to the enlightenments of calcination, and the Forge of Days touched me with her burnished fingers, and I rise from my bed with the utter knowledge that all nights must end. So I definitely have a plan for this, but the first thing we're going to do is clear out the fascination. Okay, the doors of vision swing wide, a little darkness will mellow my light, even dread has its uses. So I'm going to do something a little unusual for me here. The minion is returned, attended by a prisoner, rendered docile with delight. So let's betray the... Oh, I'm not going to be able to do anything with the shifty woman quite yet. So I'm just going to wait it out in the talk verb. You know what? We got to hire them again, but I'll wait. Oh, I should wait on the timer. Callagine's doing a really good job on recruitment. My investigations turned up no new leads. Now, under normal circumstances, what I would be doing here is pursuing an investigation against a troublemaker. I'm not going to do that, though, because I have an incandescence. So this is a chance for me to summon something. And I don't even really want it... I really don't want it for anything other than really bragging rights at this point. But I have a high-intensity forge. So it's a chance for me to summon King Crucible again, and this time learn Deep Mandiac. At least I hope I do. King Crucible will come only when the room glows with the aspect called Forge. He also requires a lantern for the light of the glory that he claims to know. shifty woman. So I had to do that because I've used the headquarters and the upgrade. Okay, I need to mind my manners as far as the dread is concerned, but unless something happens on an investigation, we should be fine. And it's not one that's going to go after one of my locations, so we're good there. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So I do want to destroy the evidence when I can. We'll use that with the talk verb, but again, there's a few other things that I need to do before we worry about that. The air is curdled now. I'm home again in this lumpen flesh. Better, perhaps. Okay, let's see if I can impose a little more order on the world here. It's cramped and everything doesn't quite line up properly, but it's a start. Okay, so let's think about the dream slot. Now, I believe if I use the spider's door... So first of all, do I need to dream with anything else right now? And I think the answer to that is no. So I don't think I can just use... Yeah, I can't use a hireling here. Spider's door is always thirsty, always. The blood I have given leaks in threads and spills through the skin of the world, and the door drinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. Now I understand. So I want to keep an eye on the inspector's position. There may be a bit of trouble here if King Crucible resists the summoning, but... Alright, this will buy their loyalty for now. So normally here what I would be doing is using the Caliban to destroy the evidence. Excuse me. But I do also want to keep the Caliban around for a while, so we are going to search the city one more time. Alright, he can hide in a candle flame if he must, but here he is in all his bonfire pomp. After I speak with him, the skin of my face and hands will be pink as if from too much sun. So, King Crucible, eh? Well, I didn't vote for you. In the desert, I wait in the ruins, I burn, metal is water, stone is wax, flesh is smoke, enter me and be no longer. So, King Crucible's not going to be that useful against Connie Lee and Spencer Hobson, but I'm going to use him to teach me Mandiac, or Deep Mandiac, and I am going to send him after the investigators because there's really nothing else for me to do with him until I start going on expeditions. So my hope here is that I'm going to be able to do the investigation before Old Unhappy Far Off Things properly turns into a dread. So what I'll use is I'll use a bunch of passion to try and get the staleness dealt with. They're still in hiding. What exactly are they up to? Almost always this will end inconclusively, but occasionally a rival will manage to increase their power in secret. Alright, same terms as before. So I've got 17 seconds. I might be able to get something out of the investigation. I'm going to send the Caliban out one more time. Basically, clearing out the hulking fellow, the shifty woman, etc. is the most important to me now. Secondary is going to be dealing with the evidence. There we go. I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the one we know. Okay. So... my ideal would have been to try and move up another Forbidden Epic into an Unresolved Ambiguity, but we've only got 38 seconds there on the Glimmering. So, first thing we do is betray the followers so we don't need to pay for them again. Being able to move up a Furtive Truth would be good, but I need the library or I need an erudition for that. But you know what? We're going to be... this takes about 30 seconds, so I think we can get away with it. History is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. Alright, a half-glimpse wistfulness has touched me, so I don't think this is going to affect the dread anyway, but let's not take any chances. Yeah, 59 seconds versus 55. Alright, I've locked this one away safely, and when their screaming and raving subsides, I will subdue them properly. Obviously this will have consequences for my reputation, but hey. We gotta do what we gotta do. Okay, so that's a little inconvenient for us, but we'll still use the funds. I didn't quite get to read that, but this works for me. I don't see any reason not to keep going back to this dream slot right now, so we'll kind of feed the door as we go. Alright. Locked another one away safely. Technically I will have a fourth one, but in a few seconds I'm going to need to use the library in a recipe, so probably can't get another betrayal. Oh, maybe we can. We'll see how the timings work. I'm also going to try. We've got 44 seconds, so it's not ideal. Let's have a chat about Aramaic. There we go. The matter of learning Deep Mandiac. Together we will commemorate the tongue of the unburnt god. Use study with King Crucible to learn Deep Mandiac. And I'm definitely going to want to pay attention to that because I actually don't think I've seen that text before. So the association between Deep Mandiac and the unburnt god. I don't know if that's major. It did refer to the unburnt god being worshipped in parts of Persia, I think. So I don't know if that tells me anything regionally all that different. But I don't know. As always, it's one of these things. I've mentioned this before, but playing Cultist Simulator on stream as opposed to, or in a broadcast as opposed to on my own, the idea of just being able to sort of take notes while I go is a big difference. And especially when I play a game this way, so when I'm playing it different from how I normally, in a different way from how I normally would, that definitely leads me to discovering new things about it. So it's another thing that I'm grateful for, although again, I'm kind of conscious of the fact that if extended sections of the broadcast are dedicated to me writing down notes, that's not the most exciting. Yeah, again, this is just purely for show. But I don't know, it's kind of nice to say that I've got a whole bunch of languages sitting there, in addition to having all of the text that I haven't read. Alright, so the plan was, I've got 28 seconds, so there's no way that I can get the library back in time, so we'll use that to solve the knowledge challenge. The wolf despair prowls elsewhere. No dread empowers this despair. It's over for now. And we'll pay for the paints, although it's not really that important right now. We may have a fascination to deal with, but the fleeting reminiscence will take care of it. And this will buy their loyalty for now. So we are going to lose a little bit of time on the Callagine, but I'll accept it because there's never going to be an ideal window. In this case here, it's a good chance for me to clear out the evidence. Once again, alright. I'm very happy for the unresolved ambiguity. Last night in the Mansus I visited the Mallory, from whose hammers and crucibles one does not emerge unchanged, and for 9 beats my heart ceased while it entered the fires of the forge, and the passions of the forge entered into it. I awoke with the dawn, and its poor divided colours inspire memories of the forge's passion for the sun, of the vagabond's curse, of the grail's deep longing. So many half-memories. So again, this is 7 unresolved ambiguities. Worth remembering here that we've got enough for 2 forbidden epics right now. And our goal would have been 12. So I think this is the point where I said I was going to start only focusing on improving unresolved ambiguities, but let's wait until we actually have... well, okay. Let's say between the forbidden epics and the unresolved ambiguities. So realistically here, my goal would be 10. And then it sort of depends if I can move these up a little bit faster. But yeah, the idea here is to sort of let my trips to the let my trips to the spider's door sort of fill in the last little bit. Actually, if I'm completely honest, it's probably a better idea for me to move the unresolved ambiguities up. Now, we'll be getting some glimmering. Okay, something for me to think about, but not something I'm going to deal with right now. So, dream-wise, back to the spider's door. All that I am is here. There it is. Is that it? Alright. You study with King Crucible to learn Deep Mandiac. I was so focused on the text that I didn't actually look at what I needed to do. That's a little embarrassing, but I didn't suffer too much. I've just lost a little bit of time on the Caligy. Alright, my recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell. So, always happy to have a little contentment. Glimmering will be helpful when it comes time to move up an unresolved ambiguity. And then I do need to deal with the fascination, but we've got the fleeting reminiscence. So, let's not lose our job as an inspector. So unfortunately, I'm going to lose some time on the glimmering, but I still think we'll be able to move an unresolved ambiguity up. Another season of ambitions, so I don't see any reason why we can't pull away the troublemaker. Some days are better than others. Sometimes the sky is nothing like a filthy sheet. Sometimes the river runs clear. And dusty facts have come clear in my brain for now, so that may be an input into our upgrades as well, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, Iotic Essence, the spider door gapes. Last night in the Mansis I visited the Mallory, from whose fires one does not emerge unchanged. The forge's light fell upon me, and my heart boiled, and when I woke my blood burnt within me, so that I had to shed it in a cup before it overwhelmed me. And lo, 10 drops of it were not blood exactly, unless it be the blood of the sun. Perhaps I found the cup, and the blood is not mine, the forge seer's memory. So I think I could also summon King Crucible with the Iotic Essence, but we don't need to worry too much about that. I feel like I was going to use my dream for something. Yes, the fascination, so let's clear that out first. I should have my study verb available reasonably soon. That'll also be helpful for clearing out the hulking fellow. Alright, I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the one we know. Study Deep Mandiac with a tutor. Together we will commemorate the tongue of the unburnt god. So that's 60 seconds I'm knocking off of the glimmer. Actually, we may lose it here. Maybe I double it. No, you know, it's not worth it. Alright. Progress. The constant clatter of closing doors, the damp stains on the station walls, the smell of boot polish and unwashed constables. All this narrows to a single crystalline truth. I made progress and earned myself some overtime pay. So the good news is we've got 27 seconds of contentment kicking by, so that's not going to help us. I'm going to wait some time for I'm going to wait on the passage of time. Logic behind this is I want to keep the troublemaker from raiding Karishim if I can. There's no major consequence for them doing that, but it's ideally I don't make their life easier, basically. Betray and imprison a follower. This one must serve another purpose. Now, into the cupboard they go. Yeah, so we'll buy a little bit of time. at this point we'd be fine for clearing out the troublemaker, but we'll give it a moment. And then normally I would take Saliba to get myself another follow. Well, actually, yeah, 36 seconds. We'll just wait for King Crucible at this point. And we'll use a reason with the exotic cravings when the time comes. Alright, slowly my clenched fists relax. I'll slide back into sleep, but something will remain like spiderwebs in the corner of a room. So hopefully we can paint that away. Nope, Season of Despair, so I need to bring someone into the cult if I want to get rid of that. I think I'm just going to take the hit, because I can always go to the Ecdysis Club if it really comes down to it. Talk-wise, I want to make a run on Connie Lee. Okay, so let's just think about the next steps. Nothing really for me to get other than the spider's door, so another follower on the pile. Sent to the pages. I'm disciplined. I'm all discipline. I haven't lasted this long to give up so easily. There we go. In one history, this was the tongue of the this was the tongue the Shadowless King spoke. In another, it was the basis of the incantations of the children of the Leashed Flame. The secret script of the innermost rites of the deep sects of the deep desert, the birth tongue, it is claimed, of the Mother of Ants herself. So, we want to figure out what we're doing with the study verb, and then we want to figure out what we are doing with, well, we know what we're doing with talk. So, there are situations where I am actually able to study with Edge or Winter, but this is not one of them. So I made my choice. I'm going to take a chance here. So the chance I'm going to take is that I'm going to get the glimmerings in time. I'm going to put together a couple unresolved ambiguities. Study the histories. History is less certain than we are taught. And actually, it occurred to me it's already been 33 minutes, so time flies when I'm having fun, and hopefully you did as well. So that's it for tonight. This should be Monday's episode, so tomorrow is Tuesday. That'll be a free day. I think there may still be some Book of Hours episodes, so I have been releasing those on days that I'm not releasing Cultist Simulator material. So if you've been looking forward to that, hopefully there'll be another one for you there. Otherwise, thank you very much for, well, thank you very much for watching, and we should be back with another Cultist Simulator episode on Wednesday. Until then, take care.